The Hold Fast Social Club presents So You're Kinda a Big Deal with your hosts, Shawn Headley and Gabe Allen.
Just gonna start recording now. Fuck it.
What, for this story?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I want to hear about Montreal.
Yeah, like just having her coming on made me think of so many different stories. Like a super quick one is just Safwan. I think it was 2008 Abbotsford Convention, and we're standing beside each other, and he just kind of looks at me. He's like, "It's probably been long enough. We can be friends now." Because of the great divide of the 90s. No, but my first guest spot going to Montreal to work at Tatouage Artistique, Bill Baker was just like, "Keith Stewart, man, he's a hard ass. Like, you better know how to draw." And I'm like, "I know how to draw." He's like, "Yeah, but he might just walk up and be like, draw a hand doing this," and he'd make a hand. And I'd be like, "Oh fuck, I can't draw hands." And I'm like practicing. I'm just like, "Oh my god." And then I'll just gloss over quick. I stop in Toronto, end up getting attacked from a guy that I had beat the shit out of for hitting a girl. He came at me with a hammer. So then I show up in Montreal the next day with like holes in my head, a broken fucking hand, blue messy hair, and big piercing and shit. And Keith Stewart's just like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm Shawn from Sacred Heart." And he's just like, "I'm going to fucking kill Bill." And then he's like, "You better know how to tattoo." And I'm like, "I can tattoo." And I'm like, "And I can draw." And he's like, "I don't give a fuck." He didn't care if I could draw at all.
No, it's fucking Flash. If it's not on the wall, you're not tattooing it.
I didn't have to draw once. Yeah. And that's when, I worked with Pierre for the first time. Was, he was still super young. On Ontario Street. And but yeah, that shop was so busy, man. Like, I was taking afternoon naps. Like, I actually have a picture of me that Pierre took of me passed out on a couch behind like a rice paper screen, just in the middle of the day. But Keith didn't say anything because of how fast I could produce Flash for him. Like, he was like blown away. He was just like, "What the fuck?" I had ice the first day. Ice in the sink right beside me, my ashtray, and I'd like smoke in my mouth, just like Keith, smoke in the mouth, fucking, and then pull the glove off, shove it into the ice, let it fucking swell and go down. Next one, Keith's just like, "Just don't talk to them if they're French," because this is early '90s, so there was lots of division and stuff. He's like, "I'll just fucking deal with them and stuff," and that was my first time in Montreal, and then of course many years going back and forth.
Yeah, I'm sure Nat will have really good stories. I can't imagine what her perspective would be like coming up in the 90s there.
Yeah.
Super fucking hardcore and punk rock. And like male dominated. Like I can't think of any other female tattooers from back then in Montreal.
Nope. Not that far back. Like every city I can think of that I tattooed in, there was, female tattooers. Montreal, like, no, because Marnie came along much later, right?
Yeah, totally.
But that early, like early 90s and mid 90s, like, no. Like, no. Yeah, the most feminine tattooer would have been Dave C.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave. I can't control
him. Oh, shit.
Oh, fuck. I did my first guest spot ever. It was at Point St. Charles with Dave C. And that was the fucking scariest experience of my life. Not because of Dave or Tony. Oh, fuck. That would have been 2003? 2004?
So you were still fresh.
Oh, first year of tattooing.
Yeah.
I just knew I wanted to get tattooed, and I got a hold of Dave, and he's like, yeah, you can come out and do a guest spot. And I sat around and fucking turned down every tattoo that came in the door. I was like, no, let Tony do it. I don't want to take any work from him, and I was so scared. I just sat over his shoulder and watched him work the whole time.
Hilarious. Yeah, I didn't work at Point St. Charles.
Yeah, that was the old shop. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I hung out there and stuff like that, of course, and getting tattooed by Dave and visiting all the time. But yeah, I don't know, after when Pierre left and then he opened Tattoo Mania, it was just kind of, that was my place to go every time I went up to visit. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I never worked there, but that was coming up at Sacred Heart. That was the shop, it was Tattoo Mania. Everybody had gone and worked there. There's such a good camaraderie between those two shops. And but Dave C's work was
out of this world. Well, not the first, but like, no, not the first year. The second year, I think it was, that I was at Tattoo Mania. Dave C was actually there.
Yeah.
He had come back from Brooklyn because he was going down to, I think it was Fat Cat a lot. And then he came back, and then he was at Tattoo Mania for a while, and then left and went back and go work with Tony and take care of all that stuff. So
nice.
Yeah, good times. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really, really great scene in that city back then.
Yeah.
It was so vibrant and energetic, and it was awesome. It was just so cool to be there and see young tattooed people, and just the change going on between that old the old Flash Studios and the new young guys.
Yeah, pretty divided, which I laugh about because it was just funny because we'd be out at partying at Foof, and there'd be that shop over there, us over here, that's over here. Like it was that, and that's how that the thing is where Saf is like, I think long enough and we could be friends. It's like and that's the thing is that actually me being an outsider, I had no problems with anybody, of course. And I really don't think most of them really had any problems with each other either, but it was such a new thing. You kind of feel like you have to fight for, work, etc. But I think that divide early on was good because they weren't copying each other. They were trying to be different from each other. And they were finding influences that were different. Like, that guy likes that guy. Well, fuck that. I'm going to make sure I like this guy, and I really think that helped, like you showed in your movie, Hold Fast, is, Saf, much more of that European kind of influence and stuff, and Dave C, of course, definitely more of the American Austin style influence and stuff. So,
yeah, it was so diverse compared to, I don't know, maybe it was just coming from the West Coast and how I didn't see the same diversity in Vancouver as I did Montreal. And it's probably because of the animosity, and everybody in Vancouver pretty much got along, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. There was, of course, the standouts and stuff like that in Vancouver, but a lot of us and a lot of our clients kind of all wanted the same kind of West Coast stuff.
Yeah, totally. We were inspired to be fucking Paul, Dave Shore or something,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think Montreal, they got to steer their clients and their careers a little bit harder. in the directions that they wanted to go at such an early stage in their careers too.
I think it was that punk rock scene, that do-it-yourself ethos, like, let's just fucking do what we want.
Yeah.
But I see Nat's in the lobby, so let's let her in and get to know her a little bit.
Very cool.
Salut, ça va?
Ça va? Comment ça va?
Très bien, très bien.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
Good.
Yeah,
Let me
great.
move this.
Great to see you.
Great to see you too.
It's
Great
been,
glasses.
Oh, thanks. I thought I'd zhuzh it up.
Nice.
It's been a few years. I can't remember the last time I saw you. I think it was, I think you were still at Imago.
Yeah, maybe in Calgary or something at the convention.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds busy over there.
That's not me.
No, that's
is
me.
it?
Sorry.
Nobody's calling me.
Somebody's probably calling for my phone. Seriously, 9 out of 10 calls is somebody asking for piercing. It's just like, we don't fucking
right.
pierce, man. Oh,
Yeah,
we don't
either.
pierce, man. And Google
No.
doesn't let us separate that heading. It's tattooing and piercing no matter what.
I know.
So.
It's
Yeah.
true. I get it all the time too.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, it's great. So just awesome. Yeah.
Oh,
All right. So
go ahead.
Dave,
Sean.
you're recording?
I am recording. Yeah. So
All right. Well, then let's just jump into this. So you're kind of a big deal. Tell us who you are.
Well, I guess I've never done anything like this before, so bear with me. I did
Neither
make
have we.
notes, but
Hey, no problem.
so my name is Natalie Jean. People call me Nat, or Tattoos by Nat. And I've been tattooing in Montreal. It's going to be 28 years in April.
Oh my God,
So, yeah,
that's forever.
That is
It is.
forever.
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
not many people in Montreal that have been tattooing for 28 years in
There's
Montreal.
not. I am definitely, I would say, of my generation, certainly, I hesitate to say the first female, but I think there were possibly women tattooing at, there used to be 3 shops when I started. It was like Iris, Artistique, and Tatouage du Québec. They were all on Ontario Street.
All 2 blocks
Yeah.
apart.
So I hesitate to say I was the first woman, but certainly I think there might have been like wives or someone doing it at Tatouage Iris. Maybe I have an inkling
Okay.
that that's a possibility, but
Yeah.
I'm certainly one of the first, if not, an
Yeah,
OG.
we were just for sure, because we were just speaking about that a little bit before you hopped on, and me guest spotting really early years at Tatouage Artistique there on Ontario. I even went by. Keith was like, "Go by and the shop and see," and he had like Jack Rudy flash in the window and shit, but he was never open. So it's just like, oh, okay. Like, does anybody
still there.
tattoo here? Yeah,
I
is it really?
I think
Shit.
Artistique is still there, and
Oh,
Tatouage,
yeah.
I believe they're still
Oh.
there. I
Crazy.
think so.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, we were wondering that, like, were you the first
Yeah.
woman tattooer?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you weren't the
Yes.
first, but you're definitely the one with the longevity. So I guess the
Mhm.
real tattooer, right?
I suppose.
Yeah. When I was doing the docuseries and talking to Saf, he was like, you got to interview Nat. And the time didn't allow. But it was always about, because you were right there with them, it was like Dave C. and Safwan and Pierre. It was like, Nat was like
Yeah.
our little sister. She was right there.
Yeah.
I think that's
We all came into
so
it
cool.
together around the same time. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where did you
I've
start?
known Dave's tattooing me a long time. I started in Montreal. I mean, when people ask me, like, how did I get into tattooing, I'll often mention, like, when it became even a possibility, like a fascination, just tattoos, not even doing them, just the idea of them, was probably in high school. Because this guy that sat next to me, and I remember his name, I'm pretty sure his name was Rod Dowd. So if he's out there, and I remember sitting in class with him, and he was like, "Hey, I gotta show you something." And I'm like, "What's up?" And he lifted his shirt up, and he had a small Chinese dragon tattooed on his stomach, and it freaking blew my mind. Like, that was it for me. And I was like, "That's it. I gotta get one." I thought it was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen. So yeah, and in Ottawa back then, it was New Moon Tattoo with Dan Alliston. That was the only shop there.
Oh yeah.
In the West End there on Berland, I think that was the name of the street. And I made an appointment immediately and got tattooed by Dan, who I still know as one of my peers, you know. So I started by getting tattooed at 17, and I moved to Montreal when I was right after that. So I moved a few months after I moved to Montreal, and I tried to go to school. I went to university, but it was like cutting into my social life. So I decided to stop going to school. I just dropped out, and I just always did art, and I always drew, and I had a few tattoos, and I thought, well, if some biker can do it, I can do it too, right? And I got equipment out of I think I bought a Spalding Rogers machine out of one of the tattoo magazines, and I just started like that. And luckily in the punk scene, I had well, that's not true. I lied. I started with a homemade equipment that a friend of mine made for me with a Walkman motor and a beading needle with like a big pen that we could just change the beading needle part, you know, the inside part, and change the plastic.
Oh, you changed the needle?
Yeah, right. And I had a pedal and everything. So I was doing friends in my kitchen like that in the beginning.
Oh, nice.
And then after that, I bought equipment out of the magazine. And then when I started to do okay with that equipment, because it wasn't top of the line or anything like that, I needed a recommendation to buy equipment back then. You couldn't just get professional equipment. There was no Amazon. There was nowhere to buy it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you're ordering through National.
Yeah, so exactly. And it was through National because that was the only place. And I got Tony Danessa vouched for me, because I knew Dave, and Dave asked Tony if he would make a phone call for me, and he did. And then I could order equipment through National. So
Very
that was
cool.
Pretty cool that he to this day, I'm grateful, because who was I, and some girl, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously he didn't mind, right? So he encouraged me and thought it was good enough and vouched for me. So
I'm super curious. What was it like coming up in that male-dominated industry back then? Like, there's a lot of women tattooing now, but back then you would have had to fought for everything and been
specifically that city too. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I worked out of my house for 4 years. I had friends that were in the industry doing piercing and tattooing a little bit too. So I had people to show me the whole PPE and bloodborne pathogens and sterilization part of it. So I had a room in my house, because where was I going to work? I wasn't going to go Artistic or Iris and knock on the door and ask them for anything. I mean, forget about it. I wasn't going to do that. So that wasn't an option for me. And so I just worked in the punk scene. A lot of my friends let me practice. They were cool about it. They didn't care, right? So it was let's do it. It was like a different type of scene, right? So they were trusted me enough, and I practiced a lot on them. And like I said, I worked out of my house for 4 years until I started to realize I was doing more and more strangers, and felt like I had to it was a bit more intrusive having people over all the time.
For sure. Yeah. I had a similar start. Same thing. And then, when it started becoming friends of friends of friends, I was like, I need to figure this out. Yeah. I got to figure this out. And that's also when I realized, holy shit, I might be doing this for a living now.
Yes. And I never had a doubt that was going to be my career move, Yeah. That's something I've noticed now. I think a lot of people do it as a hobby. And definitely for me, it was never going to be a hobby, Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely never thought of it as a hobby, but some of the older biker guys that were helping me out early on, and then I got my tattoos all from and stuff like that. The one guy owned a popular shop, and he was busy, and he was still driving cab at night.
Oh, yeah.
So But he also, now that I think of it, I'm like, well, yeah, because he had a family. He actually had like an overhead, right? Like he needed to make X amount of dollars. Or so in my brain, I was just like, oh, I'll probably never be able to do animal portraits like Stu. Like there's no, or like, Bruce and stuff. There's no way I'm going to be able to make a living off of this and stuff. Like, who am I? So, but I definitely, it was the only thing that I did. And I just kept plugging away at it. I didn't have much of an overhead. Same thing, just kind of punk rock living, didn't really care other than like booze and stuff. And then there was that one day where I was like, man, I might actually like
do
pay
something
rent
with this.
somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it wasn't all good in the beginning, but holy, perseverance.
Yeah. So where did you end up after you got out of your house?
So I always tell people, always take pictures of everything you do. So I was taking pictures of everything, even though like now I look back at them, of course, they're like, there's been some evolution, but I worked for this guy named Normand.
So.
Yeah. There's this guy, Normand Ouellet, had opened a shop here on Mount Royal Street on the plateau. So the shop was brand new. It was just him working there at the time. I think it literally had been open for weeks. And I went in there and asked for a job, and I stayed there for 7 years.
Wow.
So, so I worked on Mount Royal doing my thing for a long time. And meanwhile, I had guest spots and I did other things too around that time too. But
back then, in that time, that'd be mid-90s, I'm assuming. The punk rock scene and the tattoo scene, it seems like you were immersed in both. Do you see that the punk rock scene kind of took on its own tattoo scene that was different from what was going on before that? Like, did tattooing evolve and change around that time?
I mean, I always think of the New York City convention, like stuff like that, like looking at magazines, going to the New York City convention and seeing like Linda Lovelace was there and like all these.
That was a cool show. The first one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so cool.
And super alternative, like Joe Coleman, the artist, was there. And it was wild. It had like a wild kind of very underground, very taboo feeling for me, I found. Of course, I love that Modern Primitives book. That book was a game changer for me, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, like Spiderweb had a booth. Spiderweb had a booth at there. The guy who, I don't know if he was actually Gigi Allen's brother, but the guy with the stash. He was there. Yeah, Merle Allen, he was there. Like Civ of, the Gorilla Biscuits infamy and stuff. He was like, there was, that was a great convention.
There's just something about that time. I think, I think it had a rawness to it. Feeling like you were part of something that was definitely groundbreaking. I think it was kicked up on the alternative notch, right? It was like, it was different for sure. Like, I don't know, special for sure.
Yeah. Were you working the convention?
I think that at that time I was not. Afterwards, like we can talk about that, but I did do guest spots a lot in Philadelphia and stuff. I think if I didn't work the convention in New York, I think I went and just hung out with them at the booth. And stuff, I did do a couple national conventions too in I guess in the early 2000s. That would have been in Reno and Seattle, at the Pepper Mill.
Cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
They're a little bit different than they are now.
I think now National's no longer going to be, right? I believe they just sold.
Yeah, no.
It's not, it's gone, or it's going to be gone or something. End of an era.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Philadelphia. I want to hear about your experiences down there.
Philly is like my home away from home, basically. I was tattooing at the Toronto convention. I think it was about the year 2000. And I was tattooing a friend of mine. I remember the tattoo I was doing and everything. And a woman approached me. She was opening an all-girls shop in Philly. And she happened to be Bill Funk's wife.
Oh, crazy.
which
Oh,
I didn't really know. Her name's Anna, Miss Anna. And I didn't really know. I just thought it was cool that it was a girl shop. She was looking for girls to represent her shop and to go there to do guest spots. And I think I was just stoked to be asked, honestly. And I had never done anything like that. And I said yes right away. And little did I know I was it really did change my life to go there. And I still go there. It's been 20 years I've been doing guest spots there. I go twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so Bill Funk is Philadelphia Eddie's son.
Yeah.
And he owns Body Graphics also in Philly.
So what's the name of the all-female location?
It's a Hawaiian themed shop because Anna also has a shop, takes care of Winona's shop called Skin Deep Tattoo, which is
on the island.
Honolulu. Yep.
Oh,
so
cool.
I also do guest spots there. So that shop's been there since '79. I think it's a staple also in the tattoo industry. I've been lucky enough to have a spot there to work for the last few years. They've been trying to get me to go for a long time, but I did finally take them up on it in recent years for sure. I regret I didn't go sooner.
No,
At least I made it. But yes, I forgot what the question was. But yeah, I was also going to Hawaii to work there too. Mm.
Oh, that's rad. So what's the tattoo scene like in Philly? Like working in an all-women's shop in Philly compared to what were you?
This was a long time
especially
ago.
in 2000. Yeah.
It was cool. It was fun. I think I was there it was booming. We were busy. I always say it's like a tattoo boot camp a little bit those years because you definitely get hollered at and it's like a whole other thing. A lot of yelling and a lot of the crowds are different. It's a different environment over there for sure.
The inner city?
It's South Street, South Philly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a bit rough, but I loved it. I still love it. It's still a bit rough. It's changed a lot, but there's definitely more shops now. But it was fun. I always say working with girls, it's the same type of thing. It's just maybe, different talk, but I've worked with guys my whole life too. It's just two sides of the same sort of coin, Yeah. I think we just ordered better desserts at lunch and,
Oh, Saf is offended.
Oh, fuck.
It was fun. I'm grateful.
Oh, man.
So, go ahead, Shawn.
Oh, I was just going to say, so you're going back and forth to Philly a couple times a year. When did you leave? What year did you leave Norman's shop?
So I worked for Norm 7 years. So I'm trying to think, when did I start working at Imago? I worked at Imago for 15 years. I left 3 years ago. So whatever that is, that math.
Hardcore loyalty.
It is. I think that's unheard of. I don't know anyone else that has stayed at a shop for 15 years. Does that happen? Doesn't happen too often. I don't think. I think it's kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
I took 6 months off.
Even more so nowadays.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the concept of working for someone for a long time, I think, is a dying thing, right? I don't think that happens anymore. Everyone wants to own their own thing, right?
Yeah. Well, a lot of young people, they're like, oh, I give all this money to the owner. I'm going to go open my own thing. And then they open it and they're like, oh my God, I have all these bills.
Yeah. Responsibilities.
Yeah. Right. And then it's like,
answer the phone,
Yeah. I better teach a bunch of my friends how to tattoo.
Oh, fuck.
Right.
Yeah. The deadly cycle. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I worked with Norm for 7 years, and I took 6 months off between just to take a little break. Okay. And then Saf I had known from the scene, from the punk scene as well. It's a small community, so you kind of see each other around. Montreal's a bit of a village like that. When you're you're in, and when you stick around, you see the same people over and over. And I had seen him, and at first it was like a trial. We were like, let's try it for 6 months. And then 6 months turned into 15 years. And I saw people come and go, and, I stayed.
Yeah.
Shawn was just mentioning how people don't stick around for very long, and you stay in a place for 15 years. What do you find you get from working for somebody else and being in that kind of environment with? I mean, Imago's a big shop with lots of artists coming and going and working there full time. What's the
It's bigger
benefit of
now.
staying in that environment?
When I started there, I think they've moved 1, 2, 3 times, I think, since I had been working there. So I got to see a little bit of an evolution of the place, and certainly saw people come and go. Kept in touch with a lot of them. But I think it's good because you build trust with the people you work with. It becomes like a family. I always felt like we all were kind of living together in this. I always think of like Yellow Submarine, that song always kind of comes to mind. Like you're all kind of together.
Yeah.
All kinds of, moods and all kinds of things going through life, and relationships and kids and breakups and a lot of evolution, under one roof, and fights, and you become like family. I think you don't mince words. You get to know someone. I would see them more than my own partners, I feel they know me better than a lot of people. It was a long time. You really get to know somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like being in a band stuck on a tour bus.
It is very much like that. And yeah, they become part of your family, I think, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
So I'm just, trying to put it into words. So Imago did you start doing a lot of European conventions and stuff too then with Saf?
Yeah, I did Paris with Saf. We went to Calgary many, many years.
Yeah.
The only European one I did was Paris with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was great. That was a hoot.
Preferred the cross-border Philly. Europe wasn't dirty enough for you?
I did go to Austin also. I lived there for a year. I worked there on 6th Street also.
Oh, cool.
At some point, I was dating somebody that lived in Austin, Texas. So I also lived in Austin. Saf was nice enough. I had an apartment in Philly. I also lived there I always say I lived off and on for 6 years. Saf was nice enough to let me, do what I wanted to do at that time. I had no responsibilities here.
Yeah.
So I was like, why not? I just lock my door and go. Rent was cheap back then. So
what year would that have been? Like, how long was that? Like, you're still in your early years of being at Imago?
Yep. Yes. I started going to Philly at the tail end of working at the other shop before Imago. And then I continued on when I was at Imago.
And then Austin, what year was Austin?
Austin was probably, let me think, I got to do quick math. Maybe 16 years ago, maybe. Something like that.
Okay, yeah.
15, 16 years ago.
2007?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
What shop were you at in Austin?
It was called Black Cat Tattoo.
Okay.
This guy, Rick, was the owner. He was a body piercer. He's passed away since then. It was right on the street where they would block it off, and it would be their bar crawl on, I think they blocked off 6th Street from Friday night to Sunday morning, So we were working at 4 a.m. on Friday nights. I mean,
damn,
it was something.
Nothing
like, people yelling across the shop, kicking out drunk people. And I mean, fights. I've seen fights break out.
Sometimes I feel I miss those kind of days. Oh, I wish. I've never gone to Austin. It's been one of those places where it's like, I want to go. And I still haven't made it down there. So
I was just there in January.
I think it's still cool. Awesome. I think it's still, I would imagine it's still good there. I haven't been in a long time. But
everything, shit gets gentrified, but My friend's
Yeah.
got a shop down there. He's had it for 20 plus years. I couldn't tell you where it is. It's on the street. It's busy and trendy.
Yeah, my friend Katya works there. She used to work in Montreal. She moved to New York City, and then now she lives in Austin and tattoos there.
Oh, cool.
Katya Ramirez.
Yeah. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
rad.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
rad.
Oh, man. You sent me a bunch of stuff to look at, and one of the things Safwan told me about this, about you're really crafty outside of tattooing.
Yeah,
You do a lot of cool punk rock and horror movie stuff, and
I do. I like
the
to do
thing
other
that-
stuff for sure.
I'm just going to
Tattooing's
share
good,
this
but
here.
pardon?
I'm just going to share the images on the screen here and take a look.
Oh, look at that!
Yeah,
Yeah.
these things are so cool.
I
Oh,
what
very
are-
cool.
I
What are
self-published.
these exactly?
So during the pandemic, I finally had so much time off. I hadn't had that much time off ever. And I had 2 months off, I guess, the first lockdown. And I started drawing these paper dolls. I mean, obsessively. I started by doing 2 friends of mine for fun. And then I think I did a David Bowie. And then I think I did a Lemmy. And I just decided I was going to make these dolls, and I didn't want to snack and watch TV all day, right? Like I wanted to just keep busy and do something sort of like an outlet, for something to do. And I just ended up making 3 books worth of these paper dolls. Yeah. Of things that I like,
Oh, that
Yeah,
was so
divine.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they do all fit together. Yes, Piccoli.
Oh, Mr.
Yeah.
Han.
He's in the Heartthrob one, I think. Yeah.
Oh, fuck. These are great.
I
Yeah.
figured my time is your time, so we'll have some pizza.
Oh, my
Oh my
God.
God, these are great.
Oh,
Thanks.
fuck. I love this one. Got to send this to Bobby Tripp. David Lee Roth is his absolute.
Oh,
Like
I have to send him
nightmare.
one. I think I have big ones.
Oh.
I made large copies of them too. Like they're
Oh.
like 11 by
Please.
17. I'll have to send him
He
one.
hates nobody more in the world than David Lee Roth. I'll pay for the postage for you to send it.
Well, then he has to have one.
Exactly.
I'll tell him it's from
Exactly.
you.
Oh,
The
please.
fucking the bulge under the string is just hilarious.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, there's like a sticker design there.
Yeah, you've got the best stickers. Yeah,
So
I was
what-
stoked to see you open a shop, and your color scheme for everything you're doing is fantastic. It's got a
Yeah,
retro
I kind of
vibe,
made
but
hot pink. Hot pink is the shop color. Kind of went for like a rock and roll kind of color,
it's rad.
What year did you open?
So yeah, so we had 2 months off during when the break of the pandemic first started,
Yeah.
and I had time to think about things. I had a lot of time on my own, and I was making these books, and I just decided that I had paid my dues, and I had been working for so long, and I was it was 3 years ago, 3 years in August, so I'm going to be 50 this year. So what is that? Anyway, I could see my
Cheers.
50s approaching.
Welcome to the
Because of
club.
that. Yeah.
Welcome to the club.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
could see my 50s approaching, and I had been tattooing 25 years, and I certainly felt like I'd paid my dues, and thought I want to do something. I had a vision of things that I wanted to project and put myself out there. In a way, it's almost like starting over, because here I was, all of a sudden, I'm like on an island by myself. I opened by myself during a pandemic.
Yeah, like that's just crazy.
Yeah. And people were like, you're not really going to open a shop right in the middle of a pandemic. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it like. As good a time as any, I think, right? If you can
It's working out, so that's fantastic.
And I did pick a small place, so I don't have a huge overhead. It's 450 square feet. It's small. It's a little corner spot. It's in a neighborhood I lived in for a long time on the plateau. So I knew this building.
Okay.
And I just decided that I was going to do it. And I I have another girl named Mel that works for me. She's known as Melawana, and she works for me. She's amazing. And now we're looking for another artist. We have room for one more.
Oh, cool.
So
Very
hopefully-
cool. I saw pictures of the shop, man. Very cool.
Thanks.
Just a cool little cubicle on a corner. Just
Yeah.
do what you want with it, man. Like, yeah, it's very, very cool.
Yeah, lots of Motorhead stuff in it. Got all my things. It's like all my stuff in there. And,
Yeah.
you know, I chose to name it Coup d'etat because you have to have a French name in Quebec, right? It has to be.
Yeah.
So that's tough. It was kind of like, what do you name it where Anglophones can relate also, you know? So that was a term I thought a lot of English people would understand, would know what it is. Of course, I'm thinking of Circle Jerks, Coup d'etat, and the punk thing again. And also thinking it's a female-owned shop, you know, the whole like get them when they least expect it. Kind of like a sneak attack kind of idea where I was just going to be here and maybe they won't know what hit them, you know?
Yeah,
So,
it's such a cool little shop you've got there. I love the vibe.
thank you.
It's
Thanks.
punk and gothic all at the same time. It's amazing.
It's fun. I like it for sure. Yeah.
How do you like working in a small shop and creating your own space after being in Imago? Was
It was weird in the
huge.
beginning because there was no opening party. There was nothing, no fanfare, because everything was on lockdown. Nobody was hanging out, you know? And I was by myself for the first 6 months. So when I opened the door, it had been like a dream of mine for so long. And then I finally had the key. I finally did all the renos with good friends of mine that helped me, luckily. And there was like nothing. I was like, okay, we're doing this, you know? And I was by myself. I was like, I guess I'll sit here, you know? Like I had nobody there. I was like, all right, you know? And, well, you know.
When you finally unlocked the doors, were you guys still on lockdown?
Well, I think we were allowed to work, but it was right in the whole heart of this whole pandemic thing. So
yeah. So it was kind of like appointment only.
Yes.
No hang. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not too much hanging out. I mean, I'll confess, I did make it so I could put the blinds down and I can shutter the place down if I need privacy because we are. So we were using it as a little bit of like a little clubhouse, you know. We would have a
little refuge.
My friends would come over, we would hang out a bit and just put the curtains and have a little spot for us to go because there was nothing going on. We just created our own little space, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, it was weird because I was by myself. It was a bit surreal. I think back and I think, man, it was funny. It's funny.
I think it's cool.
weird.
I think it's cool that you did it quietly. You know, I think everybody wants all this fanfare and everything, but doing something quietly and building from that, I think, is a lot more noble and a lot more humble and a good reflection of who you are. You know, it's.
Oh, thanks. I think we'll do something. I always thought 3 years. Don't they say 3 years is kind of the like make or break? If you can make it to 3 years, you're like
for small business usually.
Yeah. So I think this year we'll do just a small dinner or some sort of. I got to do something at some point.
Yeah. Totally.
Will you be doing the convention this year?
The Montreal one?
Yeah.
I did the Toronto one last year. I would like to. I'd like to. I got to send an email, I guess.
Yeah.
I want to. Just to put the shop on the map.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. You could have like a little opening or something like that and get some people out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Last year I was out of town, so I didn't do it. I missed it. But I would like to consciously be represented, and hopefully I can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's super cool. Well, let's take
Dave,
a look at some photos.
Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to some photos.
I feel like this is your life. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, this one blew me away. This is the one I shared this with everybody in the shop when you sent them over. Because
cool.
I work with some young tattooers and they don't know who the fuck anybody is unless they're tattooing like now in their face, and it's their hero.
we talk
Yeah,
about,
so
girls tattooing and women in the tattoo industry. And it's kind of interesting, the things I've heard and the comments I've had through the years. And I had someone tell me once that I didn't draw like a girl.
oh, like
And
that's
I
a
always,
compliment.
it is a weird backward, And
Yeah, it's a backhanded compliment for sure.
Yeah.
and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it that I was
Yeah,
told
that thing's tough.
Yeah, it's such a
But-
badass tattoo. That's what I've always liked about your tattoos, though, is that you just tattoo what you think is fucking cool. Like it's so
Thank you.
obvious
I
when you look
try.
at your work. It's coming from you. It's not you're not trying to be somebody else.
Oh, thanks. But, I'm a jack of all trades. I always say jack of all trades, master of none, because coming up, I had to do everything. There was no one thing. So I've done the black and gray to the tribal, to the large Japanese color, to the small, traditional looking, to the Chinese characters, to the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done them all back then, and still, I'm still a bit like that. I just would do everything because that's just how it was.
You could definitely see a lot of the times, especially in Canadian tattooing, you can see almost a year a person has started, and city by a lot of the style that they do. And you can usually tell a early 90s, mid 90s tattooer from East Coast, Toronto, Montreal,
totally.
because they are kind of a jack of all trades, a master of none.
Yeah. I would say
a lot of our shops were real heavy walk-in based tattoo shops back in those days, right? And then you go to the West Coast and there was walk-ins, but it was very heavy custom push and stuff. So I love it.
Yeah.
I love looking through your IG and just seeing all that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, luckily I did come up doing mostly custom work. I'm going to say it's been mostly that. My whole career has been drawing, for my clients, a lot of larger scale pieces. I think I'm known for big stuff. I'm known for color, but I enjoy doing everything. I'm not.
Yeah. Actually, I should also clarify. That's also what I mean too. It's not that it's, the walk-in shops in Toronto, Montreal. It's not that we were doing off the wall all the time, but a lot of times we were quick drawing on the spot.
Yep.
For a lot of people, the smaller stuff, the hand size kind of things were usually on the spot kind of stuff.
And I still do it. I still do walk-ins. I don't turn people away. I think that for those people, those mean a lot. And frankly, that star outline to me is more challenging than this tiger we're looking at, because the tiger, if I mess up a line or something, I can go back and hide it,
Just shade it.
That word or the line, that little small dainty, whatever it is, man, if you mess that up, it shows. And those people will come back for the touch-ups. Those people really, I always think of it as a good little exercise to stay on point. And those people they'll come back. They'll come back for something else,
Yeah.
So I've never been one to refuse,
If there's one thing that I think your work has a hallmark of, it's definitely that East Coast Montreal kind of style. Like tattoos are strong. They kick you in the face. It's like I can tell what that is from a distance. There's no kind of trying to discern all kinds of detail that doesn't fucking mean anything or help the tattoo. It just I love the East Coast style for that.
Yeah, those colors in those peonies are so rich. And that yellow, god damn it.
Fuck, yeah, look at that.
I did all that guy's work. That was his first piece, that back piece. He's just went right off the bat. He started with his back. And I have clients I've been tattooing 20 something years, and I can see my evolution on their body, It's like I can see from the beginning to now the difference, which is an honor. It's amazing.
Sometimes?
I've made friendships. It's tempting to go back. You're like, oh, I could do it now. But I look at it as a whole. As a whole, it looks really cool, It's like, it's good. I'm proud of it. But for sure, I can see the difference. I can see it.
I'm married to a woman that I tattooed in 95, and I just look at that old stuff, and I'm like, fuck. Can we get that lasered?
I won't tattoo my partner at all. She's out of luck. I don't want to look at it. The saturation in this tattoo is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I like color. I like working with color.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's great. Good color choices and everything.
I'm not a big watercolor painter or anything like that, but I used to do coloring pencils, the Barrel Prismacolor. That was my thing. I loved coloring pencils.
I think this tattoo highlights your versatility. I love this tattoo.
Yeah, those soft fine lines in there.
Yeah.
Light pepper shading. Yeah, beauty.
I want to know what red you use because your reds are fucking solid.
I like Dermaglow. Those are my go-to colors.
Damn it.
They make good colors.
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, they make very good colors. If only somebody else carried them for me, but
but they do make good colors, and they stand the test of
they
time.
do. I do. I have some bottles that people have like sent me. They're turquoise, they're orange, they're canary yellow, and they're olive. Oh my god!
And I can see them 20 years later, or however long, and they still look good.
Yeah,
that's the thing with these new inks. I don't know. I can't vouch for them. I'm not sure, right? I don't. Kind of. It's like the Star Bright back in the day. We all know how that turned out, right? So,
so many people just jump on that bandwagon. I'm still using a lot of my own like pre-mixed powder and stuff. I know what it is, and you mentioning National. It's unfortunate, like I can't get the powder anymore.
You have a good white. You have an excellent white.
Yeah,
yeah.
With National doing what they're doing, I can't get their powder anymore, and with all the new laws that are coming in, or around inks and stuff, it's just like, what is gonna happen to our pigment?
Yeah,
they wanted to add all this shit to it, so maybe I will. Maybe I'll be switching back to Dermaglow too. I'll order it under Dave's name.
I'll have it delivered. Don't worry. Oh, fuck. What kind of stuff do you like to do outside of tattooing? You got any hobbies or things that keep you busy outside the shop?
What do I do? Well,
how do you find balance?
How do I find balance? You mean just everything in general, or specifically like creative stuff? Or I like going to shows. I like going to see live music. That's one of my most favorite things. I like going to Vegas to the punk rock bowling, and I just went to the Rebellion Festival in England last summer.
Oh, cool.
That's like my most fun thing that I like to do. That is to go see festivals and concerts and stuff like that.
What's the Rebellion Festival all about?
That's more of an old school. It's at Blackpool, near Manchester. So that's more like the old heads, like the Infa Riots and the Cockspur. And so it's all these bands that we got to see now because everybody's time's ticking, So we went there last summer. It was fun. And Vegas is fun. I go to punk rock bowling there. And there was really good festivals in Montreal, too, for that. We were known for that. But I think the pandemic kicked the ass of that a little bit. I don't know what's going to happen here with the future of that.
Yeah.
But I like to go see bands live. And I always like to learn new things. I'm going to take a little stained glass class with my best friend on Wednesday. We're going to try to do, I don't know, something stained glass.
Bring back the old needle making skills with the soldering.
Right? I mean, how long did I make those? I made those for half of my career, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, and Dave was telling me they're thinking of it's going to be harder and harder to find needles on bars and stuff, which is insane to me. Because I still use coil. I still use all that stuff,
Everybody's gone to pens, right? So
yeah, I think conventions are quiet these days.
A few years ago, Edmonton Tattoo Show. The Edmonton Tattoo Show was like dead quiet, and then you just hear, and it's Jesse Young working.
You're like, oh,
sounds like a chainsaw. Who's that guy? Savaging that guy with a chainsaw.
Oh, this is such a beautiful sound. I work in a shop where I'm the only guy that uses coil.
Me too. Yeah,
everybody's pens all around me, and like like the music's at a decent level because you can hear it, and then I start tattooing and you can't hear the music anymore. You can't hear people talking anymore. It's just...
Yeah. It's a beautiful, intimidating sound. I remember that sound when I went into New Moon Tattoo when I was 17, and it was like scary. It was exciting.
I bet. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. Coming up in Toronto, I remember, Dan Alliston was the man back then. Like, yeah, never got a chance to go there, but
yeah, he's great. Pardon?
Yeah. A few years ago, I know he went to Everest to climb.
He did. He tattooed on Mount Everest, didn't he?
Did he get to base camp or did he get to the peak?
No, I don't think he made it all. I don't want to speak for him. I'm not sure, but
I
know he was on Mount Everest. I don't know how high.
I just think that's.
But yeah, he did.
We're gonna have to reach out and find out.
Right after interview,
totally.
Dan.
I think it's fascinating.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
So he's still tattooing.
Yes, he puts on the Toronto convention.
He does it now. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's doing the
Very
Toronto
cool
now. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and I appreciate him. He's always been really kind to me, for sure.
Yeah.
And Dan's a good one.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but good things about that guy. So, yeah. Very cool.
All right.
Awesome. So
go ahead, Shawn.
I was just going to ask, do you have anything, any plans, any travel plans coming up? Any conventions planned this year?
I would like to do Toronto again. Like we were saying, I think I should do Montreal again if they'll have me. I'd like to do that one. I have plans to go to Baltimore in May for a friend's birthday. I've never been there.
Cool.
I go to John Waters Camp John
nice.
Waters. I've been going there for like 5 years. So he's got a summer camp. So I've been going there. So I made a whole group of friends there. And last year, Debbie Harry was the camp counselor.
And
no way.
This year it's Johnny Knoxville.
Holy
fuck.
What?
It's the most fun. So I do that also for fun.
Clearly that's a cool balance.
It's fun. So we have friends. It's all a group I know from that we're all going to meet in Baltimore and have a party for another friend of ours there. And then I'm going to go back to Philly in May for a short guest spot. Then I'm going to Vegas for punk rock bowling.
Cool.
What month is punk rock bowling?
It's pretty cool. It's been going on for 20 something years.
Yeah, forever. What month is that in?
May. Yeah.
May. Okay.
Mid-May or end of May.
Okay. Who's headlining?
I never bowl. I don't bowl. Like I think I know there's bowling there. It was a bowling tournament, but I've never seen it.
Who's headlining this year? Do you know?
This year, the Damned are playing. Fear. I'm looking forward to Fear. The Damned. The Chisel is playing. Fishbone. L7.
Whoa. Oh, I saw them years ago.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Amazing. I'd love to see Fishbone live. That would be.
Oh.
Yeah. Epic.
I recommend it.
Mind-blowing.
It's good times. It's good times.
I think it's cool that you do all these extracurricular things outside of tattooing. It's.
I like to learn new things too. I mean, aside from going to shows, I'll set my mind to something like, I'll be like, how do you make like cinnamon buns or something? Like how to make dough of some kind, or I'll decide to try to, I just like to learn new things. Tattooing's good, but I really get a lot of pleasure out of doing other stuff too. Like I don't want to just be always, tattooing takes over your life. It takes over all of it, really.
Everything.
And there's a point where I was like, I just want to try other stuff. I want to do something else. Yeah. I've been doing big pen drawings lately. Like the prison style.
Yeah.
I love doing that. That's fun. I've been doing a lot of those. Yeah.
Awesome. That's cool. Who are here's a tough question. Who's your top 5 favorite tattooers?
Man, I'm so bad because I feel like I only know the people I know.
That's fine.
That's fine.
You know what? I thought you might ask me that. And I did. I don't, it's not like a top 5, but I did look on Instagram and there's people that I like that I may or may not know. I don't know, but different artists and things. I mean, there's a woman called Gigi Tattoos on Instagram.
Okay.
I think it's a woman. I'm pretty sure it's a woman. She does amazing work. The colors are amazing. The Hannah Flowers tattoo. She does these really beautiful kind of Art Nouveau looking, whimsical, beautiful women faces. And I love that. There's another artist called YYYS. He's not a tattooer, but he does silk screening, like stickers and t-shirts and stuff. Really graphic, really nice graphic, bright, bold, funny kind of stuff. I love his work. I've bought some of his t-shirts. I made notes. I'm trying to think here. In Montreal, I don't know. I mean, of course, I know my Dave Cummings and I know my people here. It's always been the same.
Yeah, of course.
My friends here that I love. And tattooing for me, I've mostly gotten tattooed by friends. I can't say that I'm a collector in the sense of traveling somewhere foreign to get a piece by a certain master or something like that. To me, it's always been people I care about or people I respect, but more in I feel like I know them.
Same.
Don't think I haven't been tattooed too much by strangers. When I was young, I did a pilgrimage after I read that Modern Primitives. I went to Primal Urge and I got tattooed by Elio Espana. It was like Marcos Pacheco was working there and Jeff Razier and
wow.
Early days.
In the early days. And I remember they took me out to dinner. We went out to dinner afterwards. So I was sitting there with, Elio and Marcus, and I thought my mind was blown that they were nice enough to like take me out after. And so aside from that, earlier on, I think I did seek out some people. But nowadays it's people that I just love. And, of course they're all talented, but I'd almost rather get, I'd rather get almost like a lower key tattoo from someone I really, really love than maybe a freaking $1 billion masterpiece from someone I don't know at all. Right. Like, it means more to me. I mean, for sure.
Yeah. I think being a tattooer and we're around it so much, I think many of us older tattooers anyway, I think we all are kind of the same where it's like, almost every tattoo on me is from same thing. Even if it's a non-tattooer, I have some people that were just friends and they're around tattooing a lot. And it's like, you know what? I want you to tattoo me. And it's like, what do you want? It's like, I don't know, do a fried egg on me. You know what I mean? And it's like, so I have an outline of a fried egg on me, so I totally get that. I have comes to mind, like in the last decade, one tattoo done by a person I didn't know. And that was Eckel. And it's just like, other than that, it's just, it's my friends or, my closer peers and stuff. So I absolutely get that. Yeah.
Yeah. I also have a couple that are people that did not tattoo as well, that I just, I was like, let's do it. And, I have a couple little things like that. It's fun.
Any plans to have sorry, Dave, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that's the beauty of being a tattooer is that you're exposed to so many different people and you can collect these little mementos from them. And if you connect and you're not super focused on having a beautiful bodysuit, it's more about that.
Right.
Those experiences pile up on top of each other.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful bodysuit. It's just an array of all kinds of things going on.
Yeah. It's just a different kind of bodysuit.
Yeah.
Any plans for maybe taking on an apprentice now that you have your own place?
I always say no apprentices. Is that bad of me? I don't know.
No, I'm the same.
In my ad, I said no apprentices. I think that no matter what, at the level that I'm at, I have something to teach. So anyone that'll be around me, I like to surround myself with younger people. I will say that.
Totally.
I think there's something cool about that. They keep me up with how to use my Procreate, and they teach me a lot of things about the social media stuff. And I mean, I think that that's important. I enjoy that. Because I'll learn as much from them, but I, of course, realized too that I also had a lot to teach. So yeah, no official apprentices, but I don't mind. I'll tell them everything I've got. I mean, I have no secrets really when it comes down to it.
I think that's the way forward.
I don't call it an apprenticeship, you know?
Yeah.
No, mentoring.
Yes, I'm all about mentoring.
Once I got in the door, then it's nice to be able to help somebody out. But
oh yeah, and sometimes
don't need to bring new people in.
Yeah, it's super simple stuff sometimes too. Like really, I do think a lot of people are the blind leading the blind right now. A lot of people want to own their own thing, and I don't want to sound like a curmudgeon. I just can't help myself to think we're in an era where everyone wants everything now. We're in the like me right now generation. Instant gratification, no putting in time at all, and wanting everything right away. And I think that you can't beat experience at the end of the day. Nothing beats that. And I also think tattooing gives you what you put into it. So, you know, that'll take care of that. But I do see a lot of people that don't know basic stuff or don't know their history or, you know, I'm a bit, if anything disappoints me, it's a little bit of that because we really loved the history when I was coming into it. I looked at those magazines and those people were like famous to me and it was like exciting and we would research people and who came before us. I think it's missing that a little bit. It's a bit of a shame.
Yeah. The excitement of when the new magazine was coming out, you know, it's like, oh, is there going to be something from Aaron Kane in this issue? Like stuff like that. You know, I miss that. Yeah.
Oh, and then you see them in person. And of course, being with Bill Funk and people like that, I would find myself at tables with Leo Zulueta and Lyle Tuttle. And, you know, my roommate was Apache Jill and Kate Hellenbrand was guesting at the same time as I was there. And I had supper with Mike Brown. Mike Brown tattooed me and then we went out for dinner. And then, you know, I went to Ed Hardy's roast and, you know, like it was just a time where I felt like I was sitting at a table with like the who's who and the what's what. And it's fun. It's cool.
That's cool. Could you imagine doing a roast now?
Yeah.
I would love to do a roast now, but it's like, man, half the audience would like just lose their shit, be on Twitter. Like, I can't believe what that guy just said about his friend.
That's true. He'd be canceled in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. No, I mean,
do you think it was a sign of the times, or do you, like, is it the next generation, or is it the fact that they're not getting good mentorship and that, you know, the internet is giving them a fire hydrant or fire hose of information constantly that they just can't appreciate the little tidbits that we would get, you know, like that keeps us hungry and stuff like that.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think it's that.
Because I still have young people that work in my studio, and they're pretty hungry for knowledge once they realize, like, once you tease them with it, and they're like, oh, what's that? What's that? What's that? And then they get curious. I think curiosity is stunted right now because there's so much fucking info on our phones. It's like, how can you be curious about everything?
Good enough. It's never enough. Yeah. You're never good enough. You don't have enough followers. You don't, I'm not a big fan of social media. I'm not good at it. I don't have many followers. They're all real.
I've been banned a bunch of times. Yeah. I keep getting kicked off.
Well, I'm not good at it, but I have to do it. Or else you don't exist. So, you know, I mean, I don't know. It's a weird time, I think, right now. But I'm also older. Like, I think I'm at that point where I'm the old person now. You know, I remember doing guest spots in Philly, and there would be these like older cats coming in, and then we'd be like, who the fuck is that? You know? And now I go and I feel like I'm suddenly that person. And now the people are looking at me going, who the fuck is that? Who does she think she is or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a flip. I'm at that point now where there's a definite flip in I'm going to be 50, 20, almost 30 years in. Now I'm starting to feel that switch. There's a little switch going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we look better at 50 than those guys did back then.
No. Yeah.
I don't think as hard as most of them did.
I just stopped. I knew when to kind of stop, I think, you know?
Oh,
Amazing.
yeah. The hard life.
Yeah.
Cool. So, where can people find you? They want to find you on the internets.
Yes, I mean, Instagram, I have my Coup d'etat page. And I also have the Tattoos by Nat page. They're both linked to each other. There's couptattoo.com. That's our website. If anybody goes to those things anymore, it's there. And my books, I'm selling them on Etsy. My store is called Nat Rules Things. That's my Etsy
those things are awesome.
handle. And
then where's the shop
easy
located?
to find. I'm on the corner of Clark and Marianne, 4348 Rue Clark, on the plateau at the base of the mountain, our beautiful mountain.
Nice.
And I mean, I'm there. You know, hopefully we'll get to see each other. Hopefully we'll meet some people through this podcast. And
was there anything you want to chat about? Any topics we haven't covered? Anything you wanted to get out there?
I don't know.
Hello?
Put you on the spot.
You got any old
I was
vendettas you want to clear up right now?
I was very conscious. I was conscious I was going to watch what I said. I was going to be mindful before I spoke.
Oh, that doesn't make for a good podcast. Come on,
a bottle of Bailey's. There is a bottle of Bailey's over here on this off camera to calm my nerves.
Oh, fuck.
No, I mean
that's what's in your coffee. Oh, fuck.
But no, I'm grateful
Nice.
you guys talked to me and gave me an opportunity to be here and represent myself. And,
I always enjoyed visiting with you at Imago, and I really felt like I missed out interviewing you for the docuseries.
Right.
You're top of the list when we started this podcast. So.
I appreciate it. How many people have you interviewed? How many? What number is this?
4.
You're episode
really?
4. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and the first episode is just Dave and I.
Yeah.
I did
You-
watch that. Yep.
Yeah. You're guest number 3.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Shucks. Thank
We
you.
really appreciate you taking the time out. That's great.
It was a good experience. I never did anything like this, so it was cool.
Cool. Well,